So one of the things I found most helpful when I was doing my research about effective questioning was to really hear what an ineffective question sounds like and what an effective question sounds like. Because we're all going to be guilty of asking ineffective questions at some point or another, but it's really important to hear what you might say and then what the ways are to say that better so that you activate all those different levels of learning and you really create critical thinking in your class. So an example of an ineffective question would be something like, who can tell me what we did yesterday? Or who can explain to me the difference, or rather, who can explain to me what happened in the novel yesterday? Because what you're doing is you're really asking one student to pretty much recall basic information that they already learned. But if you ask a student something like, yesterday we went over chapters 1 and 2 of To Kill a Mockingbird, and we met several different characters. What I'm going to ask you all to do is take 10 seconds and think about the names of the characters that we met in the first 2 chapters, and we will see if we can name them all. And then I also want you to think of a couple character traits as well in those 10 seconds. So we're looking for a name and a character trait, as many of them as you can think of. All right, everybody get ready because I could call on any of you. Ready? And then you give them their 10 seconds to think, and then you call on several students. Things like that would be or a lot more effective for their learning. Additionally, the other thing that you can do for effective questioning is asking things like who, what, and why. So, who, from our novel reading last night, who got into trouble? Or from our novel reading last night, why did Scout, right? Sorry. Why did Scout get into trouble? Or from our novel reading last night, who is Boo Radley? Things like that, where you're asking them to not only really like identify a character, but also identify a name, or rather even identify any information, and also identify other characteristics that aren't necessarily given in the text. Or you can ask students what they think of certain things. So you can ask them to make a prediction, like, what do you think will happen based on what you read last night? What do you think will happen in tonight's reading? Or who do you think attacked Scout and Jem underneath the tree? Things like that are really important because it asks students to sort of take into account different things like character traits and character motivations and setting and different things that led up to the current action happening in the novel. So that's sort of how you would essentially use effective reasoning in effective questioning in like a literature course, but you can also use it in really any course. And just sticking with those who's, hows, and whys are really important. Thanks, everybody.